Good morning, everyone. This is Servium calling. Welcome to the next in our series of INOOT webinars. I need one of those. My name is Steve Dawes. I'm the Services Director and I'm your host today. The purpose of our webinars are about giving you information about groundbreaking, disruptive technologies, allowing you to make sort of business decisions and informed decisions. So hopefully everyone who has registered early have got their crunchies. So put your feet up. It's Friday, time to relax. And today we're focusing on the new technology from Dell EMC, their IDPA DP4400, which is a comprehensive data protection solution. And to help with this, I'm joined by Nick Eastwell. Good morning, Nick.
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone.
Thanks for joining, Nick, and he's our subject matter expert today from Dell EMC. So there will be a recording of the webinar today, so we can issue that later on today. You'll be able to share that with your colleagues. We'll also publish it on our YouTube channel. And the Q&A's, opportunity for you to ask questions towards the end of the session as well. So let's look at today, 8th of November. What is it all about? Some interesting facts and figures around the 8th. So if any Dracula fans out there, 1847, Bram Stoker, the Irish author of Dracula, was born in Dublin. In 1966, our favourite TV chef, Gordon Ramsay, was born in Johnson in Scotland. And interestingly, well, in 1966, the movie actor Ronald Reagan was elected as governor of California. In 1974, the infamous Lord Lucan disappears after murdering or the death of his nanny. And in 1999, The World Is Not Enough, the 19th James Bond film was premiered, starring Pierce Brosnan. So that's the 8th of November, but more importantly for us at Servium, it is all about INOOT. So let's get the proceedings started. And for the benefit of people who've not been on our webinars before, just a brief high level about Servium, who we are. So we're in essence a provider of essential IT with a troubleshooter that puts you, the customer, at the center of everything that we do. And how do we do that? By creating great value with superb account management. We walk in your shoes, we have great customer service, and from my perspective as the services director, we have a comprehensive services ecosystem. The way we work with you is through the life cycle of a project, no matter how large, how small, from the strategy design, the implementation support. But I think the most important thing for us at Servium is let's review the project at the end. And our ecosystem is something we're very proud of. It has a lot of breadth and depth and scale. And we are very transparent on who we use and why we use it when we come to partner. We're not doing anything unique in the business. When we use partners, everyone does. Where we do differ is that we are very transparent. And there's a lot we can offer from a services point of view. We have run a previous INOOT on services, so I do encourage you to go and watch that as well. So there's a lot we can offer that you have access to as our customers. And when we look at our Pathfinder and what we're talking about today with the DP4400, it really fits around compute, data, and network. So what I'll do now is I'll hand over to Nick, and the pressure really is on today because we've got very few slides, and the bulk of it, and Nick's really stepped up to the challenge here, is a live demo, isn't it, Nick? So the pressure is on today, and we want to keep it as interactive as possible. Like I say, there will be opportunity to ask questions at the end if there's any specific more you'd like to know. So Nick, I'll hand the floor over to you, and good luck with the live demo.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today. So today we're looking at the DP4400, Dell EMC's Integrated Data Protection Appliance. What I'm going to do, I've got a couple of slides I just want to cover off from a high level what the DP4400 is and what you can do with it, and then we're going to jump into a demo and we'll have a look at initially the dashboard and what you can do from there, and then we'll have a look at some of the features around backup and recovery on the unit. So if we move on. Okay, so what is the DP4400? In essence, it is a converged solution for data protection. So what does that give you? It gives you backup and recovery. It gives the option to replicate between units. It has integration with the cloud and cloud users, so you can use it for long-term retention in the cloud. You can also do something called Cloud DR, and it's a really neat feature whereby you can push a copy of your VMs up to your cloud provider, and in the case of a disaster, you can actually spin them up, and you can work off them within the cloud, or you can bring them back onto premise once you've got to a situation where you need to bring them back. There's also things like search and analytics included in the box, instant access and restore. So that's what we're going to have a look at in a minute, whereby you can actually spin up a VM from the actual backup storage. So without having to restore it through to your data stores on your VMware estate, you can access it directly from the DP box. It's also got tight integration with VMware, and you get great levels of deduplication from the box. Dell EMC will quote you on average 55 to 1, and that is down to particular workloads, so you have to be careful with that. The box itself, as I said, it is a converged solution, so that includes your data protection software, it includes your compute to run that software, and it includes the storage to actually store your backups. Okay, so you're not having to go out and purchase backup software, you're not having to purchase servers to run that on, and you don't have to purchase storage. It's all in one 2U box, so it's a very neat solution. And that box itself, it scales from entry level 8 terabytes up to 96, and that's all in that 2U appliance. And if you use the cloud connectivity in the cloud to store your data in, you can get an additional 192 terabytes on top of that 96. So it's a very scalable, very powerful appliance. Now, what can you back up with that appliance? Well, if we move on to the next slide, pretty much whatever you want. You can back up physical machines, you can back up virtual machines. There's support for native management tools, so for instance, Oracle and SQL. There's support for applications like MongoDB. We support VMware, we support Hyper-V, and as I mentioned, there's integration with cloud providers, and there's a number of those that you can use. So it's got quite a large ecosystem that you can protect. So all in all, it's a 2U appliance that once you've installed it, you're ready to go, you're ready to back up immediately. You don't have to add storage, you don't have to worry about separate servers. It's a converged solution, so everything in one box. So that's basically what the DP4400 is. So what we'll do now, we'll have a quick look, we'll jump in and do a demo. And what we're going to do is we'll have a look at the dashboard of the appliance, and then we're going to have a look at a couple of the features around backup and recovery. So, Steve,
okay, Nick, yeah, I'll hand over to you, so you should be able to do a screen share now.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to jump into the Data Protection System Manager, which is effectively the landing page for your everyday work, and it's where you can see what's happening with the appliance. So give me 1 second, I'll log in. Okay, so System Manager, as I said, it's the landing page. It's kind of where you want to start every day. You can see exactly what's happening with your appliance. And in here we have a number of tiles which at the moment are showing various different levels of information. So if we look at the tile top left here, this is showing us information about our assets. And assets on the DPA are basically systems that you're backing up, so VMs or physical machines. Other tiles here, we've got jobs, so we've got information about the jobs and the replications that are happening or have happened. We have information about trends. There's information about the VMs that we're backing up. and a nice one down here in the middle, we have assets top offenders. So this is a bit like a 3-strike rule. What will happen if there's anything that's failed 3 times in a row, that will highlight there so you can immediately go in and have a look. Obviously, if you get any failures, they'll be highlighted anyway as and when they happen, but this gives you this kind of trend of what's happening and ones that are constantly failing. Other information we've got in here, we have information about alerts and then a standard kind of storage capacity information and also health summary. Now with any of these tiles in here, what you can do is you can drill down to the information. So for instance, if I want to have a look at some failed backups for my assets, I can drill down, have a look at those, and what's quite a nice feature is if I want to, I can try and rerun that activity immediately from there. So it may be that I need to do some investigation first, find out what's happened, but if I know I'm happy that that's going to rerun okay, then I can do that from here. So we jump back to the dashboard. One nice thing about the dashboard is that individual users can modify these tiles to suit their own requirements. So if I look at this tile, I can actually choose whether I want it to be relevant to assets or machines we're backing up, or whether I want it to be relevant to jobs that are running. We can also make it filter it by backups or replications, or we can have it reporting information for both. Time ranges, there's various time ranges we can set. And a really nice feature is the filter, whereby what we can do is we can filter the information. So if I wanted to make the tile just give me information about one particular server that I'm backing up, then I could choose that and I could apply that, and the tile will give me information about that. So if I was a backup admin that was just purely interested in SQL backups, then I could maybe go in there and just add my SQL servers into there from one to as many as I like, and that would be relevant to those machines. The other thing that users can do here is you can have multiple dashboards. So currently we're at the dashboard, which is the default. If I want to, I can add in another dashboard, give it a name. If I want to, I can make that dashboard the default. So as soon as I log in, that's the one I see. Or I can add it as a second dashboard. So we know, see we've got a new dash up here. I can then come in and I can start modifying that to suit my needs. So it could be that I want one dashboard for a certain area of the company to report on certain things. So I have different dashboards for different areas of the company, and different users can have their own dashboards as well. So you can tailor it to whatever your requirements are. So as I said, that's the landing page. That's kind of where you see what's happening with the system, and it's a really useful overview of what's going on. So what I wanted to do next was to actually jump into the backup side of the appliance, and we're going to have a look at a couple of features there. So what we're going to do is we'll have a look at a manual backup, see how quick and easy it is just to run a backup manually, and then we'll move on and we'll have a look at a rule-based policy backup, whereby we're looking to detect a VM as and when it's added or created within vSphere, and based on a rule, it'll register that VM within the backup software, and it would automatically drop it into a backup policy, so it's ready as soon as that policy runs to be backed up without having to do anything once that rule's created from the DPA side. Okay, and the last one will be an instant access recovery, which, as I mentioned before, is effectively spinning up the VM from the backup that's held on the storage, the backup storage, so not having to push it back to your data store within VMware. Okay, so landing page in the backup GUI. Currently, we're under asset management. This is where we can see all of the machines that we're backing up, and I'm going to actually filter this. I have a vCenter server that we've got registered here, so I'm going to filter it this 172 machine as a vCenter, and under the vCenter I've got a few machines there that we're actually protecting currently. Now if I wanted to run a manual backup, I'm going to simply select a server. I'm going to select this Ubuntu server, select backup, and we're going to back it up as a VMware image. If I wanted to, I could change the retention settings. I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to hit finish, and that is actually backing up. So that's nice and quick. If you want to do any type of manual backup, that's the way to do it. And we can view what's happening with the jobs at the moment. That's queued. In a minute, that's going to kick in, that's going to run. And when we're backing up, we're just backing up the change blocks. So the backups on this appliance are very quick. So I'm going to leave that to run. what we're going to do now, we're going to have a look at, you see there, it's started to run. Okay, so that will complete in a couple of minutes. So the next thing I want to show you is the rule-based policy backup. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a rule. And to do that, we go into our rules creation. I've already got one created, but I'm going to edit it just to show you how simple it is to create a rule. Okay, with any rule, first thing is to give it a name. So we've given this a name, DEMC-demo, and every rule contains one or more arguments. And what we need to do is we want to say whether that rule is going to be relevant to all of the arguments or any of the arguments. Okay, so currently we're saying this rule is going to be relevant to any arguments that are listed below. Currently I have one argument there, which is basically saying it's going to be applicable to any VM with a name DEMC demo. If I wanted to, I could add another argument in there. Okay, and there's a number of filters I can add on that, things like the VM tag, data store name, folder path, and then I can choose the operator, so whether it equals or doesn't equal, and then obviously add in my value. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to leave it with a simple rule that says equals VM name of the DEMC demo. Okay, so we have our rule. The next step is to apply that to a backup policy. So I'm going to go into my backup policies, and I have one created here which I'm going to edit, so DEMC backup policy. Okay, and what I'm going to do, under the members, I'm going to enable the dynamic rule. Okay, once I enable that, it'll allow me to find the rule that I've created, which is here. Okay, and what that's going to do, once we apply it, any machine that is added into the backup software that matches this rule will be added into this policy and will be backed up by this policy. Okay, so I'm going to run through, I'm just going to add that into policy. Okay, so we now have our rule, we've linked it with a policy, and the next thing I need to do is just to say I want to add it, I want it to be relevant to my vCenter server. So I'm going to select my vCenter server, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to say let's enable the dynamic VM import rule. So this is what's going to import the virtual machine when it's added or created within vCenter. Okay, so I can add my rule. There we go, that's the rule that we have created or we edited earlier. Okay, so now we're set. So we have a rule, we have it linked to a policy, and we also have it linked to a vCenter server. So what should happen now, if I go into that vCenter server and I create or add in a VM that matches that rule, it should be automatically registered in our backup software, and it should be added into that policy. So we're going to go and test that. Okay, so I'm going to jump into vCenter server. I'm going to go and find a VM and import it. Okay, so here's a VM that we're going to import. Let's register that. Okay, so we should see that. There we go. So we've now registered that in our vCenter, and what I'm going to do is jump back into our backup interface. Okay, under this vCenter, currently we don't see it. If I refresh, we can see it's automatically registered that VM in our backup software, and even better than that, it will have added it to the policy. So if we go into the policy, have a look at the members, we can see it's actually added it in there, and next time that policy runs, that VM will be protected. Once that rule is set up, it's a one-time thing, so you don't need to touch it. So anything that's now added into vCenter that matches that rule will automatically be brought in and added to the backup policy. And the way that some people will use that would be to create something like a gold, silver, and bronze rule, so that certain VMs of certain types, as soon as they're created, will be added into those backup policies. And if you've got a VM administrator that's creating stuff, then the actual backup admin doesn't need to worry if he creates them. They'll be automatically imported into the backup software, and they will be backed up next time the policy runs. Okay. So the last feature I was going to show you was an instant restore. So to do that, we need to have a machine that we've backed up. So I'm going to go back into my list of machines that we're protecting from the vCenter, and we're going to have a look at the Ubuntu server that we backed up earlier. Okay, so I'm going to simply choose to restore. Okay, this message basically tells me that it's going to give me the option to restore from the last backup. If I wanted to, I could choose a backup from any point in time previously that I'd done, but for the purposes of the demo, we're going to go with the latest copy. Okay, and one thing to mention is that from this single backup, I can actually restore at file level, I can restore disk level, and I can also restore the full VM. So if I wanted to restore file level, I have an option here. I can select FLR, so file level recovery. I could select individual disks, but for the purpose of the instant restore, we're going to restore everything. Okay. So destination, when you're doing a restore, you have an option to restore to the original machine, another existing VM, or to a new virtual machine. But as I said, we're going to do an instant access restore, so we'll select that. I'm going to associate it with my vCenter server and give it a name. Ubuntu Instant Access. Okay, I'm going to choose the location. I'm going to choose a host. And a resource pool. Okay, and we're ready to go. So click finish on that. A couple of seconds, that's going to kick in, and that's going to start restoring that machine. Remember, this is from the actual backup storage. This is not putting it anywhere else. Okay, so if we go and have a look at our jobs, we can see that is actually running, and that's going to take a few seconds. It's very quick, so we just wait here for a moment. Once that's done, we'll go and have a look at it in the vCenter server. Okay, one thing to say here that from any of the backups that we've run, we can always view logs. Okay, so that's while it's running, or if you've had an issue, then you can jump in, you can view logs, and you can download them. So if you have any issues around support, then you can send those off. So that's quite a nice feature. So that restore has already happened. Okay, so that's finished. And to prove that, we're going to jump back in, and we can see that it's actually created our VM. Okay, and just to show you where that's running from, that's on an NFS share, and that's running from our backup storage. Okay, so if I want to, I can now power that up. Okay, so that's an 8 gig VM that we've restored, and the instant access is instant. Okay, so that's up and ready to use now. What I can do, if I want to, I could now vMotion that back into my data store, or I could put it somewhere else. So I could put it into a test environment and start using it there. So that is instant access, and as the name says, it is instant. It's one of the really nice features on here, a really quick way to get back VMs in the event of a disaster, or if you wanted to test against certain VMs as well, it gives you a copy to do that as well. So that's all I wanted to show you today. It's a couple of the nice features around the IDPA. There are lots more features with the unit, and there's too much to show in the short time that we have today, but if anybody's interested and wants to know more or wants to see more, then contact Steve, and we can certainly look at doing that for you.
That's great, Nick. Thanks very much. I'm glad all the technology worked there. So thank you very much. And again, like you say, just really that's just sort of scratching the surface of what you what you can do. So thanks
exactly.
very much, thanks very much for that. So what we'll do now, we'll take some questions. So there's a Q&A box so you can ask questions, sort of anonymously and so on. So if you've got any questions, then just click on the Q&A box, and from that perspective, we'll aim to answer them today. As Nick said, if you want to do a deeper dive, then we are giving you that opportunity to do so. Towards the end of the webinar, there will be a poll, and you'll be able to highlight your interest there. So Nick, some questions. One from Ian about sort of help speccing up a solution. I think that's a relatively straightforward one. So how would you say we'd sort of best approach that from the point of view capacity sizing and so on, to helping your customers spec up a solution?
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, there's a number of questions we tend to, when we engage, we will ask around workloads. I mean, that's the main thing, because it depends what you're backing up to how much you need to put on there. So, and also looking at reduction ratios and that possibly applicable. So what we tend to do is we tend to send out a little bit of a questionnaire that should cover all of the information that we require. And we have a sizing tool, so we can then plug that into a sizing tool, and that will come back with a recommended solution.
Okay, relatively straightforward. The question from Alex in relation to public cloud services that I can natively connect to. What's available there, Nick?
So all the big guys. So you've got Azure, AWS, there's IBM Cloud and VirtuStream. With regard to the cloud connectivity, there's obviously two types of usage with the IDPA. So you've got the long-term retention, and you've got the DR, the Cloud DR. With Cloud DR, currently it's just AWS and Azure that's supported. With long-term retention, it's all of the other guys. So if you're archiving to the cloud, all of the other guys are supported as well.
That's good. Question from Gail in relation to sort of branch office environment. So if it's deployed in branch offices, sort of set and forget solution, is there any IT know-how needed on at the specific branch sites for the appliance?
No, not at all. I mean, once it's set up, you can manage the unit centrally if you do wish to make any changes to it. But effectively, you could set it up, create your policies, leave it there, and it work away happily. As I say, you don't need to visit the site either. You can manage it remotely along with a number of other machines. So no, absolutely, and it's kind of built for that environment. I mean, typically what people will do, they'll deploy it to a remote office. It will be sat there. They'll probably be replicating off to possibly a central site or something like that, just for good practice. And if they need to, they can always remotely log onto that system and do any changes or anything that they want. But no, you can set it up and forget it.
So yeah, relatively similar from a sort of robo environment then. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And sort of tied into that, a question from Sally in relation to security. So how is the DP4400 secured? Is there any form of encryption?
There is. I mean from the point of security, you've got your kind of standard sort of user authentication where you've got role-based access and it integrates with Active Directory and LDAP. From the point of encryption, yes, it has inline encryption. The data is encrypted at rest and in flight. So if you are pushing anything up to the cloud as well, then that's all secure and safe, and it's encrypted when you're pushing it up there.
Okay. Question from Ian in relation to some of the stats Dell are quoting. So the 55-to-1 deduplication ratio, is that sort of genuinely realistic?
It is. I mean, Dell certainly believe it is, and they quote it as an average stat. They obviously it's Dell EMC giving you this information, so you'll probably be a little bit worried. But I personally would say it is. There are some caveats around. There's obviously certain types of data that aren't going to. You've got movies already compressed data, and that's not going to count towards it. One of the things that they do ask for is that it's something like that you require 80% file data to qualify for this, and no more than 20% database. And I think the change rates are between 2 and 5% daily. So there are some specific terms and conditions around it. But yeah, absolutely. This information or the 55-to-1 average has been worked out from all of their live sites that are connected back to their support environment. So, yeah, some people, not everyone's going to get that, but no. A lot of people do get that. But it does come down to workload. And the good thing is the way they ensure this is that pre-purchase, it's all worked out, and we work out what data sets you're backing up and if that will actually apply. So you know before you go into the deal whether you're going to get that 55-to-1 guarantee. And actually, if it doesn't work, there's lots of things in place that they will do to rectify that as well.
Okay, that's good. Nice to know that the marketing stands up to the test. So, and I've got what looks like a final question here from Richard. In relation to the cloud DR, you mentioned VMware quite a bit. What about Hyper-V VMs? Are they supported? Yeah,
so it's only a VM that you're backing up effectively, yeah. So you're just pushing a copy of it up to the cloud, and effectively, take AWS as an example, it'll sit in an S3 bucket, so you're not being charged a lot for having it up there, and only when you need to kick in that DR and spin it up in the cloud, it will be moved across to the EC2 environment.
Okay, that's great. Well, look, Nick, thanks for, again, putting you on the spot and answering those questions. If anyone else has got any more questions, then by all means, get in touch with your account manager or drop me an email, and we'll answer those for you. And also, there's an opportunity if you want to do a deeper dive, because there is so much more that we could talk about, but we're obviously limited for time. Then, if you want to highlight that in the poll that I'm launching now, so if everyone wouldn't mind sort of completing that, we do value your feedback on our webinars, so that we can fine tune them. I think it's about number 16 we're up to overall. So, and we do fine tune them each time based on the feedback. So if you wouldn't mind completing the poll just while I sort of summarize and close. Nick, thank you very much for your time today. And the demo, I think, considering quite how technical and deep it was, well done for getting that working. So thanks very much for that. That's probably in all the webinars we've run the most detailed and complex demo. So thanks very much, Nick, for taking the time today.
No problem.
For everyone watching, we recorded the webinar. We will issue that later on today, and we will also publish that within the next 10 days on our YouTube channel. So as usual, I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. There's a lot of content on there that you'll find very useful around different subject matters. So please go and have a look and view and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that's it for today. Our next INOOT webinar is in 2 weeks' time on Friday, the 22nd of November. We're focusing on security again on this webinar with a solution from a partner called CyberSafe, which is interesting all around the psychology of cyber behavior and sort of tackling the human aspect of cyber security. A lot of people talk about securing the edge, securing the data center, but the biggest risk, according to research, are our users. So this is all about sort of the technology behind helping with cyber behavior. So that's Friday, the 22nd of November, 10 o'clock. You can register on our INOOT hub on our website. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and enjoy the rest of your Friday, everyone. Thank you.